Hey everybody, this is GGB co-host Poppers. Today we're going to talk about NFL games we have going on today. There's honestly less than I thought there would be. There's like 11 games today. Only 6 in the early window. It's like weird. It's a weird number, but let's start off with the bat. First game we got 12 o'clock. Bengals traveling to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Ravens favored by 6.5 points on CBS. Bengals are one of those surprisingly good teams, right? Like, if I had to list the teams I thought were going to be good this year, I thought the Bengals had a possibility of being like a wild card team, right? But like there were some serious issues, still flaws. Like they didn't have a great defense last year. They didn't do all that much to upgrade it, and honestly, you could count a lot of what they did as a downgrade. Outside of like picking up Trey Hendrickson in free agency, they lose William Jackson III in free agency. You sign Awuzie, who is supposed to be a downgrade. A lot of good players leave in free agency for Cincinnati's defense, and you're looking at Eli Apple as one of your starting players, and you're thinking, maybe this defense isn't going to be it's going to be really bad next year. Defense turns out to be really good. The Bengals' offensive line turns out to be way better than we thought we had, and those were the two weaknesses we saw heading into the year. We knew Joe Burrow was going to be good. I mean, at least most people thought he was going to be good. I mean, like, there was still the little bit of a doubt, like, can he come back from that kind of injury? How quickly does he return back to normal? Turns out, like, week 3 he is back to normal. The wide receivers, we all knew those three were going to be a phenomenal matchup. And then we all knew that Joe Mixon was going to have his way on the ground. I didn't know how nice of a piece Chris Evans was going to end up being to the matchup, and along with Samaje Perine. Bengals are an interesting football team. You look at Baltimore. Baltimore is one of those teams that got hit with injury after injury to start the year, and you're thinking, man, this is a running team. You lose your top 3 running backs, there's a very good likelihood that you are going to be a bad football team. And it was looking like, man, letting Mark Ingram walk in free agency was a huge mistake. And then you know what happens? The front office does its work. It gets Latavius Murray, Devonta Freeman, Le'Veon Bell in free agency. Talk about 3 guys where if you go back 3-4 years ago, right? You would have some serious cap issues having all 3 of those players on the same team. Now, all 3 have not had the best past 3 or 4 years. Now, obviously, Latavius Murray was pretty good last year. Was a surprise, in my opinion, cut from the Saints. And he's turned out to be really good with Baltimore. Devonta Freeman was a guy that's been hovering around free agency for a while. He was with the Giants a little bit last year, but didn't really stick. He was with the Saints in the preseason. Again, didn't stick. And then he goes to Baltimore. Suddenly he's the number 2 back in Baltimore. Right this week he's going to be the number 1 back with Latavius Murray out. And then you go to Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell has been hopping around since the Steelers let him walk at free agency. The Jets gave him a huge contract. He ends up being traded away from the Jets to the Chiefs. Doesn't like the Chiefs. He ends up leaving in free agency. And then the Baltimore Ravens pick him up on the practice squad. He ends up eventually getting signed to the roster. And man, the Ravens overcome stuff. And a lot of that can be put on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson. Man, it's been phenomenal. Talking about right now, the Ravens are the number 1 seed in the AFC. Now, let's be honest here. The Bills are going to be on your heels for that number 1 seed. The Chiefs are going to get their stuff together eventually. Like, it's not an easy walk down the road for Baltimore. Plus, you're in arguably the toughest toughest division in the AFC right now, with Cincy and Cleveland both looking like playoff teams right now, and Pittsburgh no joke as well. This is an interesting football game. You're gonna have Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. It's gonna be really fun to watch. Latavius Murray not being there is a little bit difficult for me to love the Baltimore Ravens here, because you look at him. He is easily their best running back. You're going to have to rely a lot on Devonta Freeman. Tyson Williams is probably going to get a good amount of carries this game. Weirdly enough, I think the Bengals in this upset. I think Joe Burrow has this team rolling. I think he keeps rolling. and he upsets the Ravens. We're talking about favorite 6.5 points.